Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Trinity Talk online panel discussion hosted by College of Arts, Science, and Education, Department of Psychology of the Trinity University of Asia. And I'm Ron Michael Avila, faculty from Psychology Department, and I'm the moderator for today. So, before we formally start our program, we will have a doxology and followed by the Philippine National Anthem. So, stand by.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back again. Welcome to the Trinity University of Asia, hosted by College of Arts, Science, and Education, and Department of Psychology of the Trinity University of Asia. I'm Ron Michael Avila, faculty from the Department of Psychology, and I'm the moderator for today. So let's welcome all the early birds for our live discussion for today. So there's Daniel Escasa. Hi, I'm Mamzel. Um, and also our co-faculty from Trinity University of Asia are all here streaming. Ma'am Edna Pantalion, um, Emeline Muli, and our department head of the Department of Psychology at TUA is also streaming, Mr. Pete Aton, Red Cherry, Sisti Chaa. And we already have 56 viewers and we are not yet starting. So before we start, our only panel discussion for today is all about defining new normal. So due to the COVID pandemic and quarantine or ECQ, we will have new sets of practices, policies, and programs and behavioral changes to help society adjust from the crisis. So there will be a higher demand rather, for the level of safety in personal work, in school, and in public spaces. So today's panel discussion is about defining new normal and promoting well-being. I know everyone is interested because of the changes that we're experiencing now. For students, professionals, and also workers. So we are fortunate this afternoon because we have three expert panelists who are generous enough to share their knowledge with regards to our discussion today. So before we proceed, I would like to thank our first viewers. Please share this live video and tag your classmates and friends and also colleagues. Digital certificate will be given to those who are registered and gave comment during this live session with names and hashtag. So feel free to comment your questions below. So without a further ado, let me introduce you our panelists today. So our first panelist um, is a faculty of College of Psychology at Metropolitan Medical College, College of Arts, Science, and Technology, founder and general manager of the Master Psychological Services. Please welcome Christian Nicomedes, RPM MSci.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
So our next panelist is Dr. Christopher F. Sasson, RPM LPT, Department Coordinator of University of Perpetual Health System, GMA Campus, Internal and External Relations Coordinator, Psychological Associations of the Philippines, Calabarzon, Mimaropa Chapter. So please welcome Dr. Dag Sasson.
Hi everyone.
So our
Good
last
morning.
panelist is a nurse at Baylor University Medical Center, Texas, USA. Peace Program and Development Advocate, United Nations Association of the Philippines. Please welcome Sir Rick Roderick C. Cruz, registered nurse. Hello, good morning, sirs. How's your day?
Hi, good morning.
Hello, doing fine so far.
Sir Rick, how about in the US? Good morning, everyone. So today we'll talk about defining new normal. So there will be sets of questions that will be answered and will help us to understand what is new normal. So there will be six different questions, and after the discussion, we will go to the comment section and um, we'll have their personal questions from the audience. So our first question to our panel discussion is this will be answered by all the panelists, and they will give some insights to the topics. So the first problem that we discussion what we will talk about is to what extent would the effect of the new normal to the well-being of the people. So, Sir Doc Tags, so,
All right. Hello. Okay. So, once again, good morning everyone. Good morning to our viewers. So, first and foremost, we have to understand the context of our new normal is that people are now really thinking about having to change. And these changes are not really minute changes. These are really major changes in lifestyle, uh, way of living. Also, there are a lot of disruptions in, like, for example, economic processes. Therefore, the new normal really poses a challenge. No, it's actually a multi-layered issue, and but to top it all off, since we're talking about psychology, no, I think one of the major issues that we face in the new normal is that the feeling of anxiety and uncertainty, the fear that we have to face something uncertain. And it's quite normal to feel anxiety or feel anxious about the present situation. And I believe that um, we should normalize feelings of anxiety and unease during this time. And there have been a lot of researches during the previous health crisis, and actually you had your research also no, with Mr. Nicomedes.
Yes.
So we see there that there are a lot of major psychological changes or challenges that we have to face. And one of these is actually how do we deal with the new normal, especially now that our routines have already changed. And I think that's the first step. Now we have to acknowledge that there are things that uh, we have to acknowledge our anxieties also. That there is a certain level of uncertainty, and with this recognition, I think this is the first step to identify things that we can do to actually manage our lives, because we really need to bounce back because there's no way but to move forward. And I think in the next questions, we will discuss more the different ways on how we can actually cope up with the new normal. Because at present, I think a lot of people are still having difficulty. As reports also show that there's a spike in reports of psychological distress among people, like exponentially. It has been our mental health professionals sees a large spike of numbers of reports every day. So I guess we have to really step up as mental health professionals. And as we can see, the new normal also involves having these kinds of difficulties among our populace.
Sir, how about you? To what extent would an effect of the new normal to the well-being of the people? Just as a frontliner.
And as we can see,
Yeah.
the new normal
I'm sorry.
also involves.
I lost you. So, first, I would like to greet everybody. Good morning to all. Good morning to the people of the Philippines, to the world. I know the people or the Trinity College is all over spread out the world. Well, with regards to the question, to what extent is the effect of the new normal to the well-being of the people? It will really affect us physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yes.
You can hear me, Ron, better? Can you hear me?
Um, it's quite laggy, but it's okay, sir. It's bearable, sir.
Is it clear?
It's kind of a lag, sir.
Or are we having connection? A lot of delays.
Yes.
Okay. What do you call this? Do you want me to log back in and see? So better discussion. So
That's okay, sure, sir. Sir Christian, how about you? To what extent would the effect of the new normal to the well-being of the people?
Yeah. Well, actually, the adjustment to the new normal will be a tedious process. It usually starts with resistance. Right. So people will resist to the new normal. Then eventually, we can actually observe the theory of Maslow. Right. Once the people starts to starve or feel the hunger, then start to realize that they have to adapt to this new normal, and they need to go back to their works, and they need to sustain their physiological needs. And based on our researches, uh, a lot of the frontliners realizes the true nature of their jobs, their obligation. That's why, despite the challenges and risk of continuing going to work, they are uh, they still continue and give the passion and grit to their original occupations. Nakamute ka na.
So, yeah. So the second question is, as a mental health for people in school setting, counselors, psychometricians, and even teachers, how can we help or guide our students aside from teleweb counseling? What activities can you suggest for dogs?
Uh, I believe that most mental health practitioners, also those who are involved in the school setting, can actually help by engaging themselves in psychoeducation. And personally, what I do is I actually share resources to different pages that my students frequent so that they can see or they can actually have references for their well-being also. And at the same time, uh, though it might sound difficult, you really have to spend time with students who would actually extend their issues with you, or those who would like to share their issues with you. It's really an exigency of what you're actually supposed to do as a professional, for example. But I guess that's one responsibility that we have to do, is to really extend help. But of course, always don't forget self-care then. Like for example, if you're a teacher and you also have your own issues, your own problems, just don't forget to do self-care. But I think the best is to share resources. So like in uh, school pages, for example, since I know a lot of references that they can actually see, um, I think this is the best way to help students, no? And also at the same time, of course, yung mga practices that can actually help students, like for example, doing physical activities, going outside and experiencing sunlight, things like that, and of course, practicing gratitude. I think we will go more on that later. So simple things like that can actually help students, especially those who are very shy and they don't want to reach out, but deep inside they are experiencing anxiety already, or they fear for a lot of things. I think those suggestions are um, very doable, and I think all teachers should do that also, because I think these are uh, part and parcel part of our responsibility as teachers. All right, thank you.
To add third, because of the pandemic, the need to use internet and also digital setting is normalized. So there's a lot of teachers and there's a lot of professions that cannot be maximized using the internet or any
Mhm,
streaming devices. For example, StreamYard, Zoom,
mhm,
Google Meets, and there's a lot of
mhm,
schools and other institutions that already use this kind of approach. However,
mhm,
um, due to we are new in this kind of system and this kind of tool, using the internet as a tool to teach. So, and also as counselors, because being a
mhm,
counselor, you need to face to face discuss or help any student.
mhm,
And one of our skill is to um is to use behavioral and mental health observation. However, using online or teleweb, there's a lot of limitations on that kind of skills. So I think this is will help all the guidance counselors and also professions that are cannot be optimized using
mhm,
internet or teleweb. So how about you, Sir
mhm,
Christian? So I think paano mo sila matutulungan on how we should guide our students aside from telework counseling to optimize our services or our help.
Yes. Actually, tama si Doc Dags with psychoeducation. We have to utilize the technology that we have. So just like what you said, Sir Ron, we have the internet, and we have a lot of tools and softwares available to help us reach the clients or the students. So we have Zoom, Google Meet, StreamYard, or even Messenger and Viber. However, the problem with this solution is that here in the Philippines we are lacking the means for fast internet, especially on those to those who are living in the remote areas. So what we can suggest is that we should educate them. Okay, so just like Doc Doug said, educate them by giving webinars, okay, and conferences like this. So as we can see in the social media, we are seeing a lot of professionals transferring their energy and efforts to provide to provide their original profession in the online world. So aside from that, we should, as mental health professionals, we should always be open. Our lines should always be open to those who are in need. So especially in the counseling sessions, a lot of people with depression and anxiety are having attacks during midnight or even at night. So on our page in our clinic, the Master Psychological Services, we usually receive consultation inquiries during midnight, especially 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. because that's when people contemplate with their lives and reflect on what they will be doing on the next day. Since just like Doc Doug said, we have a lot of uncertainties in this time. In the Philippines, we are lacking the meat they will be doing on the next day. Since just like Doc Doug said,
Wala siya.
Delayed ka, delayed.
Mhm.
Delayed. Kahit yung pagkaka-live stream mo, delayed ka.
So our third question is is for people who are resistant with change, because for a lot of changes in our world, there are people that are very resistant to other changes. So how can you help a person with resistant behavior or resistant perspective to the new normal? For you, Sir Christian, how can we help them? Paano natin sila matutulungan?
usually people are being resistant to change when they do not fully understand the situation. So I think they are resistant to change because they are still skeptic on the number of cases, the implication of this COVID-19, and the implication if we stop working. So during the 3 month enhanced community quarantine imposed in Luzon, our economic our economic status really declined. So that's why our government needs to resume the economy by uh, resuming the workforce, especially those that are that usually pamute nga ron sa'yo. Yeah. So that usually delivers necessities. Okay. So I think we can explain to them the implications, the main origin of the COVID-19 and the implications of this lockdown.
Hello? Ay, hello, hello. Ako na ba? All right. So, just like what I said earlier, usually, um, it stems from the fear of not having control over the situation, just like what Sir Christian said, no. And the best thing to do is to acknowledge the situation. um, Again, the source of stress and anxiety is the fear of the unknown and what ifs. We have those what ifs, and then we ruminate about it, and then we go the downward spiral of um, mental health issues. So therefore, I think the best way initially is really to acknowledge that this is actually happening, that this is real, and this is the thing that these are things that we really need to um, deal with head on. So with that, starting from that perspective, we can actually do some mental exercises or cognitive processes wherein we try to identify things that are beyond our control and things that we can do in order for us to thrive. So I guess some people are just having initial difficulty, but for some there are actually uh, it is just normal for them to go through that phase, but eventually they have no choice but to follow the new normal. But for some who are having difficulty, they can do those practices, acknowledgement, and then acknowledging what they can control, because with that acknowledgement you can do something about your actions, your decisions, and you can thrive as an individual. It's easier said than done. Sometimes some people would need professionals in order for them to do that, especially if
Yes.
hindi na normal yung nararamdaman, if it's not normal anymore, and if it's very persistent for a very long time. What we're talking about is yung usual na feelings of individuals, because like what I said, no, it's like the situation is uh, common. Like all of us are experiencing this, only on different levels. So if those things happen, so we can do that. We can do acknowledgement of our situations, being grateful of what we still have, but not toxic positivity, which we will discuss later.
Sir Rick, how about you? How can we help people or individuals who are having difficulty with accepting the new normal or resistant behavior or resistant perspective, for example, to coronavirus? Because there's a lot of people doesn't believe or don't believe on the pandemic, and also there's a lot of people that have resistant in practicing social distancing to avoid the or to increase the numbers of cases. How about you, sir? How can we help people with resistant behavior?
Well, with regards to resistant behavior, we have to be personable. We have to really reach out. We have to open the communication with the people. So I would suggest our phases of grief. Remember, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. We have to promote for people to use it. Everybody's denying this new normal. Nobody
Yes,
wanted to
yes,
follow, right? So
yes,
we bargain. Sometimes we said, "Oh, I'll just use this mask. Oh, I will not use this mask right now. Oh, it's okay to just visit my friends. It's okay to visit my what we call this my relative." So, and then you are after you deny it, you are angry about what's going on, and then you bargain, right? And then you fall into depression. I know the three of you are psychologists. Maybe you're more into depth to it. And then finally, we will accept what's going on. But what we should done is really to be personalized with all this digital. One thing that we are all missing is active communication with each other.
yes,
I'm glad during this COVID time, the lockdown, the family were strengthened. Aside from these gadgets that we have, the bonding was stronger. So with regards to this toxic positivity, what we need to do is to put themselves into reality. We have to step to the ground and understand that, hey, this is the reality. And let's take one day at a time, one day at a time. And we don't have what we call this a choice right now, but to adapt to this new normal. You know, we have this new normal. The new normal has to promote our well-being. The new normal must advance our well-being. The
yes.
new normal is the new well-being. So we cannot escape it. We don't have a choice
It's
but
the
to go with the flow.
reality.
Yep.
So the next is, So there are some people who have difficulty adjustment to the problems, and this cause emotional breakdowns and emotional adjustments. What advice can you give for them to them, Sir Doc Dags? Para sa mga
All right.
taong nahihirapan mag-adjust to the new normal.
Okay. So actually, I already said some of the things that they can do, no. But I guess just to change the mood, no, I think it's also helpful for them to practice self care first, and then for them to think clearly. Also practice mindful breathing, and like take a pause. Also during this time wherein there is usually physical distancing or social distancing, but you can still connect with people so that you can be grounded and you can think clearly. And again, most of the time, those who are having difficulty in adjustment is that most of them are actually overthinking the situation, overthinking, and then ruminating those things, and then what happens is that they end up doing nothing. So, like for example, I experienced a lot of cases wherein they just don't want to go up and go to work, and they don't. During the whole pandemic, they're doing nothing. They feel like they fear for major changes in their lives. So I think it's very important also for them to reconnect with people whom they can actually relate to, and they can share their experiences with. And I guess the resistance comes from, again, I think it comes from fear of the unknown. Therefore, you must be really, um, you must be really clear about what you want to do also. And most of the time, it is the significant individuals in your life who can actually help you with adjusting. Um, if you know someone who is actually having difficulty in adjusting, the best way is actually to help them out, reach out, and again, like what I said earlier, most of the time, uh, it's just a phase. I don't want to say that I don't want to say that it's something that you can actually get over easily, but it is normal to feel that way sometimes, no? But eventually, just like what Sir said earlier, a lot of people can actually get over it just by taking time to actually take things in, because it takes time sometimes, because this is not normal. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that you can do to help yourself bounce back, and eventually we will actually accept that these changes are inevitable. And I guess again, the last thing is, um, if again, if it persists for a very long time, um, ask for professional help, ask for people who can actually help you, because sometimes you can control it anymore. And there are certain people, professionals, who can help you with these kinds of situations.
According to our research, we conducted with Sir Christian Nicomedes last May, the effects of COVID-19 pandemic to the psychological or the analysis of panic to the of Filipinos during COVID-19, and the result shows that one of the reason why other people are very so anxious and um tend to be tense because of the misinformation came from the media. So that's what I think one of the things that we should do is educate ourselves and also learn all the different um inf- legit information or information that will help us to lessen our anxiety and worry and help us adjust to the current situation. For Mr. Roderick, how can we help for the people who are having adjustment problems?
you know, communication. Communication is the key to what we are experiencing now. And talking to the people who have experienced the problem. Like I've known cousins who were COVID exposed but were able
Yes.
to surpass it. And I know some people in Manila too who are COVID positive but was able to surpass it. So communicating to the people of what we need to do, how to protect ourselves, is really the key. You know, verbalizing your feelings, your anxiety. Everybody's anxious about it. Whenever I go to the malls or walk, you are looking at people, making sure that you are 6 feet apart. But when you look at people, this thing that we are experiencing, COVID doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate against race, sex, creed, or religion. So I would say communication is the key, and a lot of prayers. We really need to
Yes.
pray.
Sir Christian, how about you?
Just like the study mentioned by Sir Ron, the result shows that the Filipino people are experiencing during the pandemic uh, are anxiety, paranoia, nihilistic behavior, uncertainty. These are the new mental health issues that we are having during this ECQ. Another negative thing that we have observed is that a lot of people are experiencing existential crisis during this pandemic. So for us, mental health professional, and in addition to what Sir Rick and Doc Dags has said, it would be helpful if they reflect on uh, if they reflect on their lives. So I think the best reflection that they can do is the purpose of their lives. They need to reflect on the purpose of their existence, life, and death. So in that way, they'll have they'll reach the proper motivation to continue on this life. So once they have answered uh, their purpose of their life, the reason why they are living. For example, some live or view their existence to serve others, to teach others, or to educate, or to give service to others. So once they have realized those purposes of their lives, they'll have the proper motivation to continue or resume to their original works.
Very good insight, Sir Christian. So, the last question for our panel discussion for today is how can we lessen the anxiety of worry or adapting to new normal? So, there's a lot of, according to our research that we conducted, there's an increase to the anxiety of the people uh, during the start of the lockdown. So, I guess, how can we, as a mental health professionals and also frontliners, how can we help other people or some individuals that have anxiety to lessen that feeling in adapting to new normal? Sir Rick, how about you? How can we lessen? How can we help for your on your workplace? How can you lessen your anxiety as a frontliner?
Well, you have to live with it. You have to live, you have to love, and you have to leave a legacy. How can you lessen with all of this? You have to always think, what is the purpose of your life? Why are you living? Whether you like it or not, we live this pandemic now, we live with COVID. It will always be there. But we have to live with this new normal. And then the next step is really, we have to love our fellow men, love the people, so that this anxiety will be lessened. What is the purpose of your life? You know, and as you live and love, you will have be you will leave legacy in this world. We have to congratulate because all of us are still alive and we have surpassed this COVID and we are not sick. 2 months ago, I thought I had a COVID.
A lot of mindfulness techniques would be helpful to the people. However, majority of the Filipinos do not have the access to the knowledge of mindfulness. So, I would advise that these materials are available online, and there are a lot of applications that can uh, uh, facilitate the mindfulness technique. And another, we need, I said earlier, we need to define what we want to do in our life. And I think it would be helpful to lessen their anxiety is to reflect on what world would they want to live for the next generation. So we are the COVID generation. Okay, so we are the ones who need to work and fight for it and adjust to the new normal to better provide and develop new ways on living for the next generation.
Sir Doug, how about you?
Uh, okay, so very fast lang. I guess nasabi na ni Christian, those things that we can do to minimize anxiety. But there are still some no, like for example, just very basic. We can actually talk to people. Um, we can make new connections. Also, a study also shows that it would minimize our stress and worry if we do some volunteer work. Doing something for others is also very important. So it can be very simple. It can be very minute, but it can actually help. Uh, it's it's weird because you can help yourself by helping others, and also you can. I think nabanggitin kanina ni Sir Ron, no? You can also minimize your stress triggers by controlling what you input also with your head, no? So just choose sparingly those news outfits that you would like to listen to. Do not deliberately look for stressful news. Just manage things that you input also, and also you can create regular routines, create new routines, because like what we said earlier, no, our lifestyles have changed a lot, and what we can do is create new create new um, practices and daily routines so that it can actually help us feel better and make us that give us that sense of normalcy in our lives also. Like we can also do hobbies, create new hobbies, or do your hobbies more often. Also, it's also a time for you to look into your life. Also, create journals. And actually, bigla akong dami naisip. Then things like that, you can actually do that. Also, something physical, because sometimes if you change the way, if you change your physical process, also it will reflect in your psychological well-being. Also, like for example, eating healthy, um, doing exercise, mindful exercises also, which is very helpful. So I think all of those things, just be mindful of the situation and practice certain uh, activities, then it can actually help minimize anxiety during this pandemic.
Thank you very much, Sir Doug. So now we will now proceed to the comment section. So we will titingnan natin yung mga comments ng mga viewers natin. For first is came from Daniel Escasa. So according to Daniel, I think ever since the pandemic, we psych students. This is my student from Trinity University of Asia. Is only first year. So we psych students are pushed to help those who in distress, regardless of us, still honing psychological concepts. To be able to help them personally, it's pushing me to learn faster. So what's the opinion for that, Sir Dugs? Do you think this pandemic helped people to be more productive and help them to learn faster?
Well, sort of, but again, I guess
Case cases,
we should
right?
also but we should also practice self-compassion also. We
Mm.
should know when's enough, and we should not be pressured to be productive if our body doesn't feel like it. I mean, I also understand his what do you call this, his sentiment na like as a psych student, sometimes it's okay for you to get motivated to understand more or to learn more. But again, sometimes it can be very stressful. We can also experience fatigue
Oops.
from all of
Yeah.
these things. Just just being tagged as somebody who knows psychology can actually cause people um, to look for you and to seek help. Ayan. So, as student, lalo ka na student ka pa lang, I guess, it's okay to learn. And I think that's the best. It's also the best way to go about it, though. But at the same time, you should also practice self-care pa din. Na uh, you should also set your boundaries pa din. Yan. And also, I think Sir Ron and other mentors in Trinity can actually help you. So, kailangan din you should also you should also contact your mentors and ask for help also.
So yun, according sa sa research, due to the pandemic and lockdown, there's an increase to the people or more our respondents are forced to be health conscious. So there's an increase to health consciousness, and some of the people became germaphobe because of the pandemic. I think this pandemic really forced us to do things that we're not really doing before the pandemic. So maraming mga bagay na na-force sila to do because of the pandemic.
But
So,
Ron,
yes.
remember, you should not be totally germaphobe. We
Yeah.
have to in harmony with the bacteria and viruses that we have in this world, and we have to overcome them. Because if
Yes.
we will germaphobe, you will also be in not good shape.
So, according to Sitisha, what are the signs and symptoms? What are the signs and symptoms that the person is experiencing maladaptive situation, the present crisis po? Thanks po. Thank you, and Sitisha. Sir Christian.
For the signs and symptoms, the rule of thumb we are using in the mental health professions that once the people experience deviance, distress, danger, and
Mhm.
dysfunction. So those are the 4 Ds of abnormality. And aside from that, this this stress causes you impairments on your work, academic, and social functioning. So those are the basic signs and symptoms, regardless of the mental health issue you are experiencing, be it depression, anxiety, or adjustment disorder.
Um, Sir Roderick, do you observe different kinds of maladaptive um, symptoms due to the crisis nowadays?
I think denial. Those
There's a lot.
healthy people who are not COVID, experience or got sick with this, they deny that they will get it. You know, so when you talk to these people, you really have to have an open communication with them. You know, to make sure that they are okay. You know, or text them personally. You know, we have to be personable nowadays, and then tell them, hey, how are you doing? Is everything okay? Anything bothering you? Those are the simple things that we should make sure that everything is, all of us are okay. And now we are having financial difficulty or financial crisis on top of this. You know, so really have to be caring. We have to promote more humanity. You
Yes.
know,
Sir
because
Doug's, how?
as we approach, you know, this year is the 200th birth anniversary of Florence Nightingale. So
Yes.
International Year of the Nurses and Midwives. So basic issues there is we should learn how to wash our hands, especially for the guys. Whenever we go to the bathroom, we don't wash our hands before and after. Now I think most of us know how to wash
That
before
is
and
noted,
after.
sir.
And then also, I would like to share that this is the 75th year of the United Nations. It should be reviewed. The UN should have a reform. They should be more responsive. And remember, next year is the 500 years of the Philippines. 500 years of the Philippines. So we really have to think to make this world a more compassionate, a more livable world for everybody.
Yes. So there's a question especially for Sir Doug's from and
Chinese.
can you suggest activities with students from form classes CNC can particularly do to reduce anxiety depression? It seems like most recommendations are only easily accessible by those who can afford it. So ano kaya yung pwede nating ibigay to those who are not very cannot afford or not accessible, cannot access to those kinds of activities?
Mhm. Medyo tricky yung question.
Yes.
Kasi like for example, during the lockdown kasi, as much as we want to really reach out to all walks of life, like for example, class C and class D, and actually for the longest time naman, like psychology has been criticized, quote unquote, for being for the rich. Much more ngayon kasi we are in the lockdown, we can't really afford to um, go face to face also with people. But I guess for me kasi talaga psychoeducation is is important. And right now we're in, like for example ngayon naman GCQ. I think we're in the GCQ already. There are a lot of people already also mobilizing to do um, uh, volunteer work also. They go to barangays and also for mental health education. But as for now, talaga, like even in the Psychological Association of the Philippines, most of them are actually migrating to online telehealth because yun talagang accessible. I guess at this moment, wala pa talaga tayong sobrang what there's no concrete way on how we can actually help people with this. Kasi like what I said, personally, what I do is I actually share resources. Um, Practices are actually very easy naman um, to give people, but the thing is, they really have to have access to these, no? So, like, for example, you can do that through schools, through teaching. Um, pero like, for example, sa mga panahon ngayon, wala. I guess if they have at least television, ganyan, siguro they can actually access suggestions or um, ways like talks from professionals also because I believe there are a lot of um, mental health professionals na ini-interview naman sa television and then they offer help also and they offer suggestions on how people can actually cope up with the pandemic. Pero in terms of as a general practice on how we can actually medyo mahirap with the restraints that we have right now. I don't know if I
How about
answered the question. So
how about you, Sir Christian? How
baka
can
may
we help?
suggestion si Christian.
How can we help people with kasi I know the Master Psychological Services is they offer very accessible um affordable to those who are na hindi kaya magbayad for psychological help. How can we help to those of people who are suffering from
The first one is we need to learn how to listen. Just listen because these people with mental health issues are having those unresolved issues even before the pandemic. So the anxiety that is caused by the pandemic only adds to the pre-existing issues. So us in the Master Psychological Services, we are offering affordable price for mental health issues, mental health services, and to those people experiencing anxieties or mental health issues due to the pandemic, we are also offering free online counseling. The Philippine Association, Psychological Association of the Philippines posted a list of clinics that offers free online mental health services. So it has been acknowledged also by the Department of Health and other health institutions in the Philippines. Nakamute ka.
you can now contact Philippine Psychological Association of the Philippines for affordable and free online teleweb counseling. So there's a lot of questions, but yun, it's already yeah, last question. We will now offer our last question. How do we deal with students with mental illness in the new normal setting? So it's a very good question. A question. How do we deal with students with mental illness nowadays? Sir Doc Dags and Sir Christian.
So I guess this is a very this is a wait lang yung aso ko.
Sige,
This is
sir,
a
ako muna.
very
Sige.
sige sige.
Okay. So,
Okay po.
with the students who are experiencing mental health illness, as your professor or teacher, we need to keep in touch with them and ask them how they are, even if we are not paid. Okay, so it is our duty to get connected with our students, because it is our passion and our profession to be connected with them. Okay, not only academically but also in life. Okay, so as teachers and as educators, we are not just giving them knowledge but also the wisdom of life. Okay, so we are mentors. So we need to keep ourselves connected with them even in these times of pandemic. So we do not need to bombard them with the requirements, but we need to maintain their well-being during this time of pandemic.
So they will gonna focus on the mental health well-being ng mga estudyante ngayon.
Yes.
Yes.
Kasi mababaliwala yung learning nila kung sila ay anxious. So they cannot process the knowledge well if they are experiencing some emotional turmoil.
All right. Ayun, ako ba? Sige.
Yes,
Like I
that's
guess to simplify siguro for I think you should practice compassion also. I think nasabi na ni Christian yung I think the best way on how we can help students suffering from mental illness. Because, like, for example, in a normal setting, we can just imagine how difficult it is for students to cope up um, with schooling, much more with this kind of setup. So I guess think the key talaga is compassion, and also offering help. And as since we're already since I think teachers should really have a certain know-hows also on how to manage students with certain conditions also.
yes, yeah,
At
yeah.
least di ba no, at least practices lang on how to calm students or what they should do in order for them to manage their emotions, things like that. Because um, sometimes the psychological aspect of learning is undermined in the educational process. um, Even now, di ba, parang there's a stigma about uh, psychological issues. So I think as teachers, we should also be we have to keep ourselves abreast also with what are the minimal requirements for us to help our students also experiencing mental illness.
So Sir Roderick, can you add or do you add something for to those who are students that have mental health illnesses during this pandemic? How can we help them?
I would still say communication, and then they have to talk it out with their friends, and then the teachers who we look up to should really guide this student, encourage them to go on counseling. We really need you guys, to talk about all these problems. I think basically uh, it is a known fact that if you are emotionally disturbed or mentally challenged, then you won't be able to function well. So the key there is really communication, verbalizing your fears, and your friends should really help you. I would
Yes.
say that.
Connect with
And
your friends and loved ones.
yep,
Yeah. I think that's it. I guess all the viewers who help us to understand, and the panelists who help us understand, um, ay may natutunan ngayong araw na to. And also, ngayon, today, we talk about new normal and also how can we help or how to promote well-being currently in this post-COVID-19 society. So, So, paano ba natin matutulungan ng sarili nila? All the discussions all the answers are discussed. So, if you wanna view it as a whole video, this will be live and this will be available on Trinity University of Asia Trinity Talk Facebook page, and we will have more interesting topics that you should look out for. So, if you for more information, visit Trinity Talk Facebook page, and for inquiries, check out for the official FB page of Trinity University of Asia about the services they offer and the courses that they offer for the future students as the starts are ready to open soon. So I think thank you very much, Sir Christian Nicomedes, Doc Dags. Thank you very much. Sir
Thank
Roderick, thank
you.
you very much. Do you want to shout out someone, Sir Roderick, before we end the episode?
Thank you so much. I would just say the new normal has to promote our well-being. The new normal must advance our well-being, and the new normal is the new well-being. Congratulations to all of you. Mabuhay ang Trinity College, Trinity University of Asia. We are
Yes.
proud. We are proud Trinitians. God bless us
Yes.
all.
Sir Christian, do you have something to say?
Whatever you are feeling, those feelings are valid. However, do not dwell on it, and eventually you need to keep yourself moving and be positive, but not all times. Okay, so may I just plug our FB page? So please like ako si Freud, the Master Psychological Services, Minor Majority, and Sir Axel. And maraming salamat po.
Plugs. Do you want to plug something? Or
Okay.
do you have any
Wala nga ako
shows?
wala siya i-plug, but
PAP, sir.
for
PAP
those who are
Calabarzon.
ayun, actually
The
yon.
page.
For those who are mental health professionals in Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Quezon, and Mimaropa. Baka magkamali ako sa Mimaropa. Mindoro, Romblon. I forgot the others. So for
Marinduque,
those
sir.
mental health, Marinduque,
Palawan.
Mindoro, and Palawan. So for our mental health professionals in Calabarzon and Mimaropa, you can join us in our Facebook page, PAP Calabarzon, and we also have a uh, Facebook group wherein we are actually doing a lot of activities to help our profession. So the upcoming event is on June 29. So I think you just visit the site. Ayan. So also I would like to thank Trinity University of Asia for inviting me. And also shout out lang to my students also in Perpetual, in De La Salle, and in PUP Manila. Hello sa inyo.
Thank you very much po. And this is the end of our episode 2. So meron pa pong maraming mga episodes that we'll discuss here at Trinity Talk. So thank you very much for spending our time together. So goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Annyeong.